Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink with the official start to my 2023 Valentine card series. For those not familiar with specifically the Valentine series, the vast majority are not specifically like Happy Valentine's Day, because I don't need those cards. I like to make like galentines, thinking of you, hugs, like just kind of generic, but I put them under the Valentine umbrella, if that makes sense. I love the products that come out for Valentine releases and like candy hearts and all those things, hearts in general, all that stuff. But specifically like Happy Valentine's Day, I love you, are not cards I need very many of. So I just kind of make all sorts of things flying by the seat of my pants, as is tradition. So to start off this series, I'm using Simon's Poppy Fields stamp set. I've used this already once before. I had bought this a couple months ago. Love it. Love. And I had like changed gears and got this card made as fast as possible because this set with the dies is currently on sale. Simon Says Stamp decided to have like a big year-end sale on a bunch of things. I'll have a link. If you don't follow my social media, I've been posting about it. I'll have it linked directly below the video. This set is part of it, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to use this set because you always get me at large florals, as well as the watercolor set, which I'll show in a second. That isn't part of the sale. I'll get to it. Anyway, I started with the stamp. This image is huge. This piece of Canson watercolor paper is like 4.5 by 6 inches, something like that, just to give you an idea of how big this is. Love. You can never go wrong with large florals. They're also really nice when you want to practice different forms of coloring because you've got these great large floral images and you can't go wrong with them. And, you know, sky's the limit with colors. So I use my anti-static powder tool, my MISTI, and stamp the image with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And then, as is tradition, heat embossed it with WOW Clear Matte Dull embossing powder. You don't have to heat emboss. I just like it. And you can use Clair or the WOW Clear Matte Dull. Anything's going to work. It just depends on the mood. So I've got my image heat embossed. This is the newest Gansai Tambi watercolor set. I never even realized they came out with new colors. I just I didn't even clue into it. I have the original set, and I think that one was the very first set, like way back when it was just 24 colors. I think that was my first watercolor palette, but don't quote me because I have so many. Anyway, I hadn't realized that this set specifically was new colors, and I was like, once I realized that, I ordered it because again, I gotta have them all. Just is what it is. I like to have all the colors of all the things. That is who I am. So I got this palette. It's been sitting here just waiting to be used. And I was like looking at it and then looking at the Poppy Field set. And I was like, yes, card idea here. This is what I'm doing. And yeah, I really like these colors. They're really pretty. Gansai Tambi watercolors that like these sets. If you've never worked with sets like this, I would consider them kind of a little bit of a hybrid between straight up watercolors and gouache. They're just a little bit different and they're fun. And I've done many, many videos over the years. It's been a long time since I've used my Gansai Tambis, but you guys, since I've pulled them out again, I'll be using them more. And they're just pretty. I did very, very basic watercoloring. I just applied clean water and then dropped in some of the colors, as you guys can see, and then moved them around with a brush. That's it. Nothing fancy. With the greens were the only thing I mixed. The actual florals, I just used, one of each color. With the greens, I mixed those 3 that you can see there on the screen and just slapped them on, let them do their thing, swirled it around a bit, called it a day. It's just fun. You can do this with anything. Any sorts of watercolors, water reactive inks. The last video I did using this set, and I'll have a link to it at the end of this one. I used distress inks, or was it oxides? It was one of them. Anyway, to watercolor this set, and that was loads of fun too. So after this was watercolored, I die cut it with its coordinating wafer die, set that aside, took my card base, which is a top folding A2 white note card and did my little trick that I showed in my last video where I just folded up a piece of my grid paper so I can protect the back and the underside, you know, all the other parts of this card base, because this is why I normally used to not, you know, do ink blending and all that kind of stuff directly on card bases, because I just have a tendency to get it everywhere. It's just a given. So got my little card base protected, and I did a very simple ink blend using 3 of Simon's positively saturated inks. This time my ink trio was Sprout, Fairway, and Field. And as always, my camera makes it look a little on the video, but you can see in the pictures at the end, like the blend ends up, like it dries seamlessly, which is part 1 of it. That's why I love these inks so much. The other thing is the water reactiveness, which I'll show in a second. So I've blended the card front, and I had already cleaned the big poppy field stamp off. And I'm going to line up the inside of the card here in my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp that image with the lightest green ink, which was Sprout. So ink that up, stamp that onto the inside of the card. Once that's stamped, I'm going to take the die cut watercolor piece and I'm going to cover the back of it with Simon's Big Mama foam tape. And this will give it a little bit of dimension, but it's not going to pop it up too much. Because again, if you're not familiar with the Big Mama foam tape, they call it Big Mama because the roll is absolutely ginormous. Literally, it's like the size, possibly the size of a vinyl record. I said this in a recent video. It's either the size of that or even larger. It's huge. The tape itself, though, the foam tape is thin, like super thin. And that's what I love about it. That's why you guys see me use it in like 90% of my videos, because it gives me dimension without creating like massive amounts of bulk, because I don't like that. So covered the back of that with that, popped this onto the card base, trimmed off the little bit along the bottom there that was kind of hanging over the edge. Once I had that in place, now I'm going to add some splatters. I'm going to do just water first with my distress sprayer, holding it up quite high, like a couple feet off of my work surface, and you only press the nozzle halfway down with the distress spray bottle, and you get the like splotchy splatteriness rather than just a mist. Love it. Also, because I use the Gansai Tambi watercolors, pretty much any watercolor obviously is going to do this because they're watercolors, they're water reactive. They also got a little bit of like splotchy splatteries added to them too, which love. So picked all that up with just a little bit of paper towel and then put this in my splat box so I could add more splatter. This time, gold splatter. White would have looked really nice too. I was like, I need to add gold splatter to something. So I used my Gansai Tambi Starry Color set that you guys have seen me use in like 5 bajillion videos and splattered that with that. Then I grabbed a scrap of purple cardstock from my little scrap box and I heat embossed this Hugs and Kisses set from that same poppy field set. Hence why this is part of the beginning of my Valentine series. I was like, ooh, it says Hugs and Kisses. Perfect. It's a Valentine set. So I white heat embossed it. And I thought I would include this in the video. I don't often show this because 99% of the time the camera's not even rolling or I'm not thinking about it. These are the Studio Katia metal snips. Love. These ones are my favorite. But I also wanted to show when I'm cutting off or cutting apart wafer dies, I take all those little, the little sharp pieces, the connecting pieces. I don't snip them. I grab them with the little snips and then you just twist and it breaks them off. So you don't have those little pieces flying everywhere. Because if you've ever done it once, you know exactly what I mean. These things become like projectiles. So if you just grasp them with your snips and twist, they just fall off. You're good to go. I do that over like a tissue or a dry baby wipe just to keep them all contained because those things are not fun little slivers to get out. Yeah. I'll have a link to these snips though with all the supplies because I had to cut apart these dies because I actually just got them I think in the same order as the Gansai Tambi watercolors. I'm almost positive. So snipped apart the dies, die cut that Hugs and Kisses sentiment. And then on the inside of the card, I stamped the Love You sentiment from that same stamp set with Dusty Concord Distress Oxide ink. And then I popped the front sentiment onto the card, right over a messy little bit of a splotch that was created with the gold splatter. So, like I've always said, cover it up, stick an embellishment over it, you know, that sort of a thing. So that's where it just worked to put the sentiment. And then I adhered some little purple bling. This is purple royalty embellishments from Trinity Stamps. So I adhered those into place, and that finished off this card. So like I mentioned earlier, as of me doing this voiceover, it's New Year's Eve 2022, which is crazy. I'll have a link to the sale stuff. It's while supplies last. This stuff it's flying, you know, all the good things, but it's a great way for us crafty people to end the year. And of course, Happy New Year to all of you. Stay tuned. I'll have a ton of videos coming. Thank you tons for all your support and time watching my videos this year. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.